Good day and welcome. I just thought I would continue on with lessons we learned and the lecture that I recently attended and one of the many subjects that they covered. And this one, again, is one of those ones that didn't really change my mind about everything, but they did have a couple of things that I didn't know about before that they included. and today's subjects, we're going to cover two, but they're connected because of the one observation they made. And one is weaning, and the other one is cribbing. And you're thinking, well, how the heck are those two even remotely connected? Well, I'll get to that, as we go along. Now, I've always held the belief that when you mess with nature, you have problems, and that sometimes nature knows best, and things will take the course they need to take. Now, on the subject of weaning, now depending on your circles that you're in, you're going to hear some variations, but not hugely. Anywhere from 5 to 6 months of age that a foal should be weaned. Hey, sweetie. And, I've talked to others and they heard 5 months. I always heard 6 months, but I never did really think that was really a hard and fast rule. In my mind, even early on, I kind of thought, okay, they shouldn't be weaned any sooner than 6 months. It's kind of the way I took it. But some people kind of take it as they should be weaned at 6 months. That's it. And in a lot of circles, that's pretty much a hard and fast rule that a horse is weaned at a certain age. Well, whether it's 5, 6, 7, whatever, it doesn't matter. The fact is, that's what they did. And yet, if left to their own devices, well, some of them might actually wean that early, but some might actually continue to nurse up until about the age of 2. I believe there was, what was it they said that one was still nursing at 6? Well, okay, that might be a bit extreme, but you got to understand why they're nursing. And this is how this all connects to the cribbing thing, is because when they get stressed, the babies run to mom because it gives them a feeling of security right from day one, being with mom. And so that's what they do. They go to mom, and what do they do when they go to mom? They nurse. And so the two are very closely connected, the comfort that they get from nursing and being with mom. And whenever they get a little stressed and anxious about things, they go running back to mom and they nurse. That gives them comfort. That's primarily why they do it, not for the nutrition. As far as from a nutritional standpoint, 6 months probably is pretty safe to wean them. They probably really don't need their mother that badly after that point. However, from a psychological standpoint, they still need mom, some more than others, and that's where it varies a lot. And if you force them to wean and do it with human intervention, rather than letting nature take its course, that could actually lead to problems. And that's a subject that I've come across in a number of different places, that premature weaning can actually lead to an awful lot of both physical and emotional problems with horses, primarily emotional, but they manifest quite often in in physical things, behaviors. You can end up with a very anxious horse. They can, apparently even things like tongue sucking and a number of other behaviors like that are caused by premature weaning when they aren't allowed to have the comfort of mom to go back to. Oh, and on that note, it's actually not unusual to have more than one foal nursing at the same time. And the older one, it's not necessarily doing it for the nutrients. It's just doing it because it feels good hanging out with mom. So, but if you interfere, you could end up with an anxious horse. You could end up with behavioral issues. And this is where we go to the cribbing thing. Turns out, and this is something in years of cribbing that I have researched, I've never heard this one before, but they even suggested that even cribbing can be caused by premature weaning. And that's why this horse is here, is because she's a cribber. And although a lot of people figure that's a death sentence for a horse, and it can be fatal from what I've heard. This one here is 26 years old, is not underweight, she's in fine health. In fact, she's probably the healthiest one I've got right now. And it hasn't really hurt her at all. But we don't know. She was given to us, so we don't know her early history. So we don't know if she was premature weaned. But I'm going to throw in a little thing that my theory, and it's never been confirmed, although it seems to make a lot of sense, is they say that there are studies that have done blood tests and chemical levels analysis and that on horses that crib, and they find that it is simply their way of dealing with stress. Well, okay. I'll take that as they have also done a lot of studies, and not all, but most horses post-mortem that are chronic cribbers also have ulcers. Well, now there's a lot of theories on what causes ulcers. Some say it's dietary, some say this, that, the other thing. In humans, one of the things that I've frequently heard over the years is stress. So put those two together. One of the theoretical causes of cribbing is stress. So maybe it's not that they crib because they have ulcers, which is one of the theories. Maybe that they have ulcers and crib because they're stressed. Well, that's my theory. And it actually seems to go along with this theory of premature cribbing. Now, like I said, I didn't get this one until she was about 11 years old, so I have no idea if she was weaned prematurely. But wouldn't surprise me. It's also, pretty clear that she had not been treated very nice. She didn't have she wasn't very good about humans. You couldn't even touch her. You couldn't catch her. Head shy, all kinds of things, aside from being a cribber. Like I said, my theory is perhaps stress causes cribbing, and there's a lot of studies that will indicate that that is a possible cause of cribbing. But if left to nature and treated nicely, I don't think it's much of an issue. The horse probably won't end up as a cribber. Now, there's a couple of other theories on cribbing too that I'm going to briefly talk about. And this really has nothing to do with the lecture, but like I said, I've had her for probably about 12, maybe 13 years now, and I've done a lot of research on the subject just because I have a cribber. I want to know more about it. And, there's a lot of conflicting theories as to what causes it, the effects it has, and stuff like that. And it's kind of interesting, though, because some of them, even though they're looking at it from opposite ends, I think if you actually put them together, they can actually make sense together. But one of the things that is a myth is that horses learn how to crib from other horses. Unless your horse is in a very stressful situation and is predisposed to that behavior in the first place, very unlikely. Like I said, I've had this one for probably 13 years. She's always been around other horses, and none of them have picked up cribbing from her. Not one. And right now she is out in pasture with about 35 other horses. In total, there's more than that around here, but in the pasture that she's in, there's about 35 horses, and not one of them crib. So, and I've been in this particular place. Most of the horses have been here for the same amount of time I have. And, in 4+ years, none of them become cribbers. So that one horse would learn from another, total myth. I've read articles that have said that, and personal experience reinforces that. Some of the articles say that it's genetics, it's how they're treated, how they're housed. There's a lot of theories, but like I said, unless a horse is perhaps genetically predisposed and in a very stressful circumstance, and then has an example of another one, it's not going to learn how to crib from another horse. Like I said, 13 years, another horse has never ever learned to crib from this one. And she even had a foal outside when I got her that was quite young, and he never learned to crib from her either. During his very young years, or months, weeks, actually. While she was cribbing on an upper rail of the fence, I watched one time, and he would chew on the lower one. He didn't even know what she was doing, but he thought he should do what mom does because that's how babies learn, and which would be another reason not to prematurely wean them because one of the few ways that you can actually do that is to actually physically separate them, and if you do that, you take them away from their mother before they're done learning from mom, because they can actually learn from the elders for quite a period of time. So that goes right back to the weaning thing. Leave nature alone. Even here, there was one that was still nursing in excess of 2 years, and eventually one day he quit. And I was actually surprised he nursed that long, but from more research that I've come across and things I've read, apparently that's not that unusual. So, like I said, leave nature alone. Don't mess with nature. Minimize the human intervention in your horse's life. Let a horse do what horses do, and you'll have a lot less problems. You won't end up with a anxious horse with a lot of bad habits if you don't prematurely wean them. And exactly what can be caused by premature weaning, well, I'm not going to say, but it's just one of those things I'm going to give you a little advice on based on additional information. This is not entirely new stuff, but the connection to cribbing, that was a bit of a surprise. I'd never heard that one before, but it doesn't really surprise me because I have heard that premature weaning can cause a lot of problems. So, you want a happy horse, you want a healthy horse, you want a well-balanced horse. Don't mess with nature. Let a horse be a horse and let them do what they're going to do, okay? Have a good day.